Hi, I'm Steffen Schmidt, Professor of Political Science and Coastal Zone Management. I'm here in what I call the world headquarters of coastal policy research. We've got our charts and world maps and other things here behind me that we use when we're out doing research and traveling about. And I wanted to just briefly talk about the course. This first week, we'll do a lot of stuff with politics and policy making, and I want to talk about that now for a few minutes, if you don't mind. Some people get, I think, a little bit either confused or depressed by politics, and I wanted to assure you that it's nothing bad. Politics is inevitable. It is a process that I describe, and Paul Schmidt will be teaching this class and helping with it as well. We wrote up some information about what is policy and politics, and almost everywhere there is, in fact, a discussion about the basic disagreements that exist between people, and I wanted to show you kind of how that works. So this is a little short description of what we call the political system, which was defined by David Easton in a wonderful study he did. This is the chart, and you'll see a couple of animations coming up here. First of all, notice that at the top there where that red arrow just popped in, we have what are called environments, and there is an external and an internal environment. In other words, a domestic and an international environment. And those environments are very important in determining, where the specific policy issues occur or how they manifest themselves. You'll see that I have marine protected areas and zoning as two issues that we could discuss. So marine protected areas have a domestic or an international as well as a domestic aspect to them very often because sometimes they overlap with other countries. So once we know what the issues are and look at the internal and external factors of them, this yellow arrow then moves us into this next column here, which is society. We say that that's the inputs because society is filled with all the organizations that exist, the news media, labor unions, environmental groups, and so on. This is really civil society here. And on any issue such as marine protected areas or zoning, there will be supports and opposition. So supports means people who are in favor of these policies and people who oppose them and groups who oppose them. So it's how the society aligns itself when any issue comes up. The issues here could be changed to offshore oil drilling, to overfishing, to beach renourishment, or any of the other things that we're interested in. Once the discussion occurs in society, it then moves over here to this last column, which is where government is. And we talk about government as the place where outputs occur, because the outputs of government are actually what's down here, this orange box at the end, which is action. These little green boxes tell you that there is a lot of interaction between and among groups in the civil society and in government, both in favor and opposed to, and you have all kinds of discussions going on, and all kinds of tension builds up over policies, and those are communicated to all three branches of government, of course. The judicial branch, which comes in through litigation, but mostly the executive and legislative branches of government, because that's where policies such as marine protected areas and others are going to be debated, discussed, killed, funded, and so on. Once that process is completed, look at the end of this chart and you'll see what you get is action. You get a law passed and the executive branch signs it, and you get policy rolling on something such as, let's say, beach renourishment. David Easton says that the way this works is it doesn't stop there, and you can see the arrow kind of curls back, and you can see at the bottom here feedback. What is feedback? Well, feedback means once a policy has been put in place, after a few months or years, there is going to be a renewed debate over that policy, and that is going to come back here towards the end, back into the both external and internal environment of society. You're going to get discussions whether beach renourishment is really worth the cost, whether marine protected areas are too big or too weak or too intrusive, and so on. So the political process, to make a long story short, is a continuous loop in which different policies and different problems enter into the discussion. Groups in the society, the news media, television, lawyers and others become involved in them. People support and people are opposed for many good and sometimes not so good reasons. The political system, the government at the end there, has to sort all this out and take action. And then once that action has been taken, then the process probably begins all over again. So please look for that as you look in this course at all of the things having to do with coastal zone management and coastal policy. Look for the dynamic of politics. It's very dynamic. Don't be disturbed by the fact that there is often controversy and conflict and so on, because that is in fact the characteristic of politics. And try to sort out as we go through the course what the issues are which we've presented you with and how those are essentially articulated. In this course, it's mostly in the domestic environment in the United States, but also with international implications, of course. Climate change, for example, is an issue that is both domestic and international. So see you in the class, and I look very much forward to working with you, and I know that Prof Schmidt does as well. So see you on the internet.